So, hello and welcome. Today I'd like to talk about the late modern family. I'd like to start off like any family starts off with a man named John and a woman named Mary. They both have an ambition, a goal, a mission to have kids, although first they must complete a series of steps. They both need an education, they need to develop a career, earn some money, and then that's when they get married. This kind of marriage, the marriage with the purpose of having kids, is what we call a parental marriage. It's a marriage with a high investment in parenting, an HIP marriage for short. Now, let's fast forward 10 years. John and Mary are still happily married. They've got two kids, Daniel and Thomas. Daniel is 10 years old and Thomas simply a toddler at the age of 2. Now, they follow a series of traditions, they have their own norms and sanctions. But what's really interesting in the late modern society is how the children socialize. So, if we start with an analysis of Thomas' socialization, of course, he has a private sphere, his primary socialization, with his two parents and big brother, his family. This is where he would learn the most usual norms of having respecting each other, and how to behave in society. He also has a public sphere after John and Mary decided to put him in daycare. This is where he'd learn some other norms and sanctions. So already at the age of 2, you have norms and sanctions coming from different people. The sanctions from his public sphere in the daycare might be a bit more brutal or strict, with less love and care and affection than his parents' sanctions. Now, it's through these norms and sanctions that Thomas is learning to reflect on his actions. This is what we call reflexivity. He thinks about what he does and why he does it, and maybe thinks, will this have a consequence? What sanctions will happen if he does this? Let's go back to Thomas' big brother, Daniel. If you look at his socialization, it might look a bit different, but also similar. He does have a private sphere, his family, and he has a public sphere. Now, what's interesting here is that his public sphere, his secondary socialization, is actually where he spends most of his time socializing. In the sense that he spends 8 hours a day at school, he comes home, and instead of being with his little brother or family, he turns on his computer and goes into the world of Warcraft. Now, this is where Daniel takes on different roles. He has a different status and different roles according to where he is, what part of socialization he partakes in. Now, at school, he might have the role of a student, and at home, the role of a big brother. But he would still have the status of being a bit nerdy. But when he goes in the world of Warcraft, he's not a nerd anymore. He's actually a level 100 guildmaster. That's his status. And he's got the role of a human adventurer exploring this world, the virtual world. So you could say that he has multiple identities, virtual identities as well. So what does this mean? How does the late modern society affect the socialization of children? Well, if we take the example of Thomas, you have some early dual socialization. Already at the age of 2, you have differences, different people you learn from, and different people you're sanctioned by. We also have disembedment. Daniel is able to talk to someone on the other side of the world. You're no longer constricted to your community, to his school. He'll be influenced by a culture coming from another country. rendering him more open to other norms and sanctions. Also, faceless relations. You start trusting a system. You have trust in someone you might not even know the face of through the internet. And last but not least, there's detraditionalization. These kids are no longer obliged to go to church on Sundays. They have a choice, and it's this choice that makes them who they are. Now, I'd like to thank you for watching. This was a short video made by Sina Sofia Dorka Ignatius and Charles. Have a nice day.